And we're continuing to follow some breaking news out of southwest Albuquerque, where a shooting investigation is underway this morning. The rocks here now vary in size. This one's about the size of my hand, but there are much smaller ones here also. Officials say there are at least 200 firefighters here battling this El Cajete fire, and that number is expected to grow. Just a steady stream of the snow coming down. Take a look. We're already starting to see some accumulation on the ground. And the problem was a lot of the people hanging out around the bus stop shelters weren't actually waiting for a ride, and after constant complaints from businesses and passengers, ABQ Ride did away with them. Kim, this is where one of the fatal wrecks happened. A pedestrian was hit, prompting police to block the northbound lanes here on Coors for hours, a major thoroughfare in the mornings.
It looks awesome. I've seen it and it looks really cool. Tell us about your upcoming season.
They just got the head of the Zozobra onto the truck just moments ago. That's the heaviest part of Zozobra. They had to use a forklift and then manpower. Some kids in Maine are getting their chance to live a lifelong dream, being a contestant on The Price is Right. Good afternoon. A milestone for the University of New Mexico today. Families here say this Easter egg hunt is more than an opportunity for their kids to get some treats. These peeping Easter eggs make it possible for siblings to take part in the Easter tradition together. Over the last hour, the bear has been hanging out in this neighborhood, going from backyard to backyard. Toasted cinnamon, strawberry sabotage. If you think these are types of desserts, well, they're actually beers. Skiers and snowboarders have been able to enjoy 25% of the runs here at Ski Santa Fe, despite the rest of the mountain looking like this. It's completely bare. Lawmakers in both Congress and Britain's Parliament are holding Facebook responsible for allegedly mishandling data for more than 50 million users, turning a negative into a positive after the break. How one wounded veteran continues to serve his country and inspire many along the way. Let's head to meteorologist Chris Gilson. What are those temperatures that they are facing there this morning? Kim, the mayor says they're working to hire more officers and get them on the streets. Well, I want you to be happy.
Well, I hope you're happy. We're all happy this morning, right?
I hope everyone's happy because we're going to get some pretty nice temperatures today. Dramatic video from Northern California shows skiers rescuing a man buried by an avalanche. A big aspect of the program here at CNM will be safety and responsible flying. So much work that goes into it, and so many people are needed to accomplish all of this. Jess, it happened right here in front of this Kick 66 gas station store. Officers saw a woman crying over her puppy that was choking, and they quickly stepped in to help. Dean, a new lawsuit alleges the police officers in this case were more worried about investigating stolen cars in the area than they were about the woman's 911 calls for help.
Albuquerque 911, operator 3261, what's your emergency?
That's the 911 call the woman in a new lawsuit against Albuquerque police thought would have ended it all.
I have police on the way.
In March of last year, her ex-boyfriend Tito Fajardo was holding her hostage inside this home near Broadway in Gibson for 2 weeks, beating her and allegedly raping her. Fajardo's mom, Mary Lou Hearn, was also convicted in the case.
This is a lawsuit alleging that the City of Albuquerque Police Department tragically failed a woman who is a victim of the most horrific imaginable crime possible.
The lawsuit says once the woman secretly got a hold of a phone to call 911, officers responded to the home. They, quote, left when no one answered their knocks on the front door, despite the captor and victim being inside. It goes on to say that after a second call to 911, quote, the officers returned but again failed to do an adequate search of the property, even though the woman explained she couldn't answer the door because she'd been kidnapped.
Our expectation and what would normally happen when someone calls the police 911 saying they're kidnapped, those are exigent circumstances. They should have gone into the home.
The lawsuit says the officers turned their attention to something else.
The second time they come back, they become distracted by noticing that there are some vehicles that appear to be stolen.
Were you able to get any return on those games?
The suit says the officers, quote, alerted the neighbors and Fajardo's mother that a woman had reported being held hostage to 911.
And as a result, they go back into the home and rape her and shave her head and call her a rat.
Now, APD gave us this statement. We are committed to fully investigating this allegation. Fajardo was sentenced to 3 years in this case. His mom got 18 months probation. Dean?
A gathering of concerned neighbors in this Ventana Ranch home, fed up with this man, Jackie Crawford.
We've been just trying to figure out a way to get this guy out of here because nobody in this neighborhood feels safe at all.
Benjamin DeBaca says he up and moved his family.
It's been a nightmare. My family's been scared.
DeBaca is one of almost a dozen neighbors who say they're living in fear since Crawford moved in several months ago with the woman who lives in this home, a decade-long resident here who's never caused any troubles.
My kids are free to go out of the house.
I never thought twice about letting my daughter go play outside, but now you have to think twice.
It's kind of like just a bad leech that's gone out through the whole neighborhood.
Residents say they've seen Crawford acting erratically outside, screaming, walking with alcohol bottles, baseball bats, an axe, and talking with children.
From that point forward, things have just started to escalate.
Johnny Herrera lives across the street and says he's gotten the brunt of it. Last Monday, he says his family came home to find their landscaping destroyed.
Another neighbor came to my wife and said that he had witnessed Jack from across the street in our yard doing all of this.
Herrera says Wednesday a visitor of Crawford's threatened him with a kitchen knife. That man, Anthony Jones, is behind bars.
Jack came to the edge of my yard, threatened me and my family, saying that he will get us, that he's going to kill us.
Then Sunday afternoon, Herrera says, as his wife and kid were leaving, Crawford
got a handgun out and motioned like he was shooting at our Suburban.
Police arrested Crawford after that incident last night. He's charged with 6 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon for pointing a gun at Herrera and his family on 2 separate occasions.
I said, "What's with that sound, man?"
It's hard to miss.
And he said, "They put that in." He said they did that because they wanted to drive the homeless away.
Dwayne is a former customer at this McDonald's Circle K combo at Central and Wyoming. He recently stopped coming. He says the noise is too much.
And I just thought that was awful.
It's hard to stand here for very long. That high-pitched sound is coming from 2 speakers attached to the building. One of them is right there. The other is on the back side of the building.
Every time I walk by, it gives me intense headache.
The owner of this McDonald's says it's their approach to deter crime in the area. It's an area that's seen plenty of shootings, stabbings, and robberies. One of the speakers is pointed right at this bus stop. You might remember last spring, ABQ Ride removed the bus shelter to deter homeless people from hanging around. David Roseman works security here. He says while he doesn't think the approach is working, he gets why they did it.
Absolutely, I would understand why they do it. Absolutely. Theft, vandalism, intimidation, fights, the gangs activity that's around here, the drug dealing activities around here.
Others say the sound is unnecessary and harmful.
So it doesn't help nobody. It affects all the other people that are like me with injuries.
Fernanda Lopez, KRQE, News 13.
They use these rocks right here in front of us.
Zacatecas chef Rodney Estrada says he thought they had found a solution. Early this month, vandals used rocks, part of ART's new landscaping, to break the windows of nearly a dozen businesses along Central, including Zacatecas. About a week after that, the Mexican eatery was hit again.
Actually contacted ART to have them haul all these rocks out, which they did. They were on it quickly.
But sometime over the last day or so, the rocks came back.
These were supposed to be pebbles.
Estrada says they were under the impression the rocks would be much smaller.
Now we're stuck with the same rocks.
He says the ones there now are still too big and can cause major damage.
The city is talking to the neighborhood associations, the businesses, as well as the merchant associations to figure out a happy medium.
ART spokesperson Joni Griffin says the city's standard landscaping rocks are 1.5 to 2 inches. She says these size rocks are all over the city.
If we go to crusher fine, which is one of the solutions that people are asking us to do, the way that works is that within a week or 2, it will be completely overgrown with weeds, and then nobody would be happy with that.
We just want the rocks gone, and we want the pebbles so that we don't have an incident like this happening again.